Leave it to Nintendo to announce devastating news in the middle of the night, or very early in the morning if you're elsewhere in the world. As it turns out, it is the end of days for the 3DS and the Wii U, and I know we've said that plenty before on the channel with the eShops closing, but now is the final nail in the coffin of both of these systems. We are now receiving the announcement of the discontinuation of online service for these. What does that mean? It means that we're no longer going to be able to play the games we purchased online, meaning that any Nintendo hosted games will now no longer be playable. And that's an extensive list. It's most of them, if not all of them. Basically, most games use the Nintendo Network to let you play games, and the Nintendo Network has kind of been on its way out for a very long time. Obviously, when Nintendo launched the Switch back in the year 2017, which feels like ages ago at this point, they changed from Nintendo Network to Nintendo Switch Online, and they started a unified Nintendo account system. So now you have your Nintendo account and you have Nintendo Switch Online, which is the name of the online service. Whereas before it was all kind of under Nintendo Network, and then you had a Nintendo Network ID. So that move happened, right back in 2017 in preparation for the launch of the Switch. You might remember Nintendo kind of put out some stuff about how to move money from the Wii U and the 3DS over to your new Nintendo account. You were able to migrate your stuff, and it created a weird system where we had these two IDs that were technically linked to the same system, but not really, because if you added money to your 3DS wallet, it was not available on the Switch eShop, and that made some stuff hairy when people were still actively playing both Switch and 3DS and Wii U, because we were in that transitional period. But now, that's a lot different now. Obviously, those two systems are very distinct from one another, and Nintendo has decided that now's the time to fully sunset the system, or at least 99.99% of the way. And that 0.1% is actually very important, so let's talk about it. So right now, what's happening is that Nintendo is making it to where we can't play online. But there are some other tidbits of information buried in that announcement that kind of shed some light on the full extent of what they're retiring here. Let's go ahead and read that statement now. Thank you very much for supporting our products. In early April 2024, online play and other functionality that uses online communication will end for Nintendo 3DS and Wii U software. This also includes online cooperative play, internet rankings, and data distribution. We will announce a specific end date and time at a later date. Please note that if an event occurs that would make it difficult to continue online services for Nintendo 3DS and Wii U software, we may have to discontinue services earlier than planned. We sincerely thank players for using the online services of Nintendo 3DS and Wii U software over a long period of time, and apologize for any inconvenience. Now, there is one really interesting paragraph in there. It's the one talking about an event occurring that would make it difficult for online services to continue. And what they mean by that, it's kind of thinly veiled language, but the game industry is no stranger to DDoS attacks, to services being taken down by hackers, or frankly, to just straight up hardware failures, which can happen to any company that maintains a data center anywhere. And so basically what they're saying here is that if hackers take down 3DS and Wii U online, they're just not going to bring it back up. Or if there is some type of catastrophic event or hardware failure in their data center that hosts this stuff, that they're just going to throw their hands up and say, well, it was a good run. We're not going to work to restore it. It's basically saying if some type of failure occurs, Nintendo's not going to invest the resources to bring the services back online, as they're already planned to be decommissioned. So they'll just say, hey, it decommissioned early. We, through no fault of our own. So on one hand, I understand that. On one hand, it almost might incentivize bad people to do bad things. So I hope that nobody that sees this announcement says, oh, hey, I can end this 6 months early for people. Let's do it, right? I hope I want to think the best of people. And I hope that nobody chooses to do that. But I wouldn't be surprised if by including this statement that somebody says, hey, I can bring down a Nintendo product permanently. So who knows? But also, lately companies have been getting kind of more combative with hackers. Like, they've been litigious with them, trying to take them to court, get them arrested, put them in jail. So maybe they'll look at it and say it's not worth it, but there's always somebody, right? But more importantly, there are some exceptions to this rule. So Nintendo specifically calls out Pokemon Bank, saying that that will remain online even after they end services for other stuff. I imagine that's because it's a paid subscription service that people are still putting money into, but though they do say that it will go away at a later date, though they just haven't specified it yet. So that could be sometime in 2024 or maybe even far into the future, because Pokemon money, right? So that is an interesting thing. The other caveat is that they call out Street Pass specifically. So our buddy Xeon over at Nintendo Life can rest easy tonight knowing that Street Pass will continue. And the reason for that is not so much out of a sense of gregariousness or kindness from Nintendo. It's actually just that they can't do anything about it because Street Pass, it uses local communication. Nintendo can't remotely disable local communication on every 3DS in the world, or rather they could, but it would be really messed up for them to do. And so why would they? They would have to put out a firmware that kills the local wireless on every 3DS, which would make no sense because it doesn't hurt anybody. So yeah, it doesn't go through Nintendo servers and thus it will continue to work. However, Spot Pass, which does use Nintendo server, will no longer function. They're just not going to support any online capabilities for the 3DS or the Wii U any longer. So that means when you Street Pass somebody, you're no longer going to get puzzle pieces because those use Spot Pass. So if you haven't finished your 3DS puzzles, you have until April to finish them. So find Xeon wherever he is, because he's looking for you and he would like to give you puzzle pieces. But beyond that, it's bad news. It's sad. It's sad to think of such a beloved and cherished couple of systems, because obviously I've been talking about the 3DS this whole time, but the Wii U is included in this. And it's sad to see online functionality go away for these. This means that a lot of games that admittedly I haven't played in years, but that I still think of fondly and would love to go back to and now no longer can, will no longer function. Basically, if a game used the Nintendo network, it will no longer function. This is essentially the death of the Nintendo network in its entirety. That 0.1% though that I mentioned is the eShop in a weird way. I know we've covered the eShop going down not once but twice here on the channel, and that's because you'll still be able to download software that you had purchased. You'll still be able to re-download software you already bought. You'll still be able to download updates for those games for the foreseeable future is what Nintendo says. So basically, they currently have no plans to remove your ability to re-download purchased software. And I suspect that's because that's where they'll really find themselves in some kind of trouble. The gaming industry, as far as I know, has not yet removed the ability to re-download software from anything. I believe as of this recording, the Wii shop may still support re-downloading software. Digital storefronts have not yet gone away, and I'm not sure what the legality surrounding that is. There may actually be a statute of limitations on how long they have to continue to offer you the ability to purchase or to reacquire things that you have purchased directly from them. Or maybe it's buried in the end user license agreement for these consoles that we have a set number of years. I'm not sure. But right now, what I can say is that you'll still be able to re-download your games. So that is the one sliver of online functionality that remains. So if you were one of the digital deluxe folks that got the Wii U on launch and bought a lot of digital games like I did to get those extra points, because it was something like buy 5 or 10 games and get one for free. I bought a lot of digital content on the Wii U. So being able to re-download those is a good thing for now. Same for the 3DS. I have a lot of digital 3DS games and I'm happy to be able to continue to download those. However, there are some games that may remain online, and Nintendo is not yet giving information on those, or rather they can't, because those would be third-party games. So basically, if a third-party game chose not to use Nintendo's built-in online infrastructure, of which I'm sure there are a handful, those could remain online indefinitely. It would be up to the publisher for when they want to take those down. As long as they didn't utilize Nintendo's Nintendo network for their game, then those servers belong to whoever published that game, and they can keep that online for as long or as little as they want. However, there does remain a distinct chance that those third-party publishers that may still be operating Wii U and 3DS servers might just say, you know what, if Nintendo's taking all their stuff offline, we'll take ours off too. Then people can blame Nintendo for all of this happening, and we won't have to deal with angry fans yelling at us. this is unfortunate. There's a lot of games that are stranded on the Wii U and the 3DS that I would love to be able to continue to play. Fantasy Life is one of my favorite 3DS games of all time, and I love it as much as I do because of its online play. So that'll be going away. That game will lose a significant chunk of its spark for me. I wish that wasn't happening, to be honest. There's Kid Icarus Uprising, which I'm assured by people who don't get uncomfortable playing it, that it's very good online. I can't play it physically. It just makes my hands hurt. As a left-handed person, the control setup gives me wrist cramps. So I've not played Kid Icarus Uprising online, but I'm told that it is a 1 in a million experience, and that feels bad to know that those games don't have a future ahead of them unless they get ported to Switch. Now, we are, of course, getting a Fantasy Life sequel. Sakurai himself has teased a Kid Icarus Uprising Switch port, so hopefully that eventually happens. But for now, these games are stranded. On the Wii U, we have Mario Kart 8, the non-deluxe version. We have Smash 4, which is a very different game to Smash Ultimate, and we'll no longer be able to play that online. We're losing in online Smash Brothers. We're losing 2 online Smash Brothers. Both Smash 4 for Wii U and Smash 4 for 3DS are going offline. The original Splatoon, which is an excellent game and vastly different to Splatoon 2 and 3, and in some ways better than those, is no longer going to be here. We have a great video on the channel from John explaining the differences between Splatoon 1 and its sequels that I recommend you check out. But where does this leave us? Where does this leave the 3DS and Wii U communities in the wake of this announcement? Well, if you remember, a while back, we did a video on Pretendo Network, a Nintendo Network replacement that was, at the time, focused on Miiverse functionality. However, as they've been working, we've been keeping up with it behind the scenes, and they've been building out Pretendo Network into a full-fledged Nintendo Network replacement. They have an open beta coming up, and they've already announced that in light of this announcement, they're kind of rearranging their internal timeline for how they're going to develop the Pretendo Network, how they're going to set it up, and hopefully this means that we will get online functionality restored in several of these games. In fact, we know for a fact that they had Splatoon 1 working. We tested that a while back. Mario Kart 8 was working. They even restored Miiverse functionality in some games. So my hope is that the fan community picks this up and runs it across the finish line for us, that they create the replacement for Nintendo Network that will keep these systems online for the years to come so that we can enjoy these experiences for what they were, in spite of Nintendo not wanting to keep the service up and running. But let me know what you think. Do you still play your 3DS or your Wii U online, even though the Switch has been out for coming up on 7 years now? Or are you happy to see Nintendo focus on the future rather than keeping the past alive? For me personally, it's pretty bittersweet. I know that these things have to happen. I know that to move forward, they have to call some of these old services that they keep running. And I know that this was never going to last forever, but I miss these systems. I love these systems dearly, and I'm sad to see them finally go all the way away. So I will be happy to add Pretendo Network to my systems when I'm able to. But that's going to be it for me today. Again, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. And if you'd like to support us, we're now on YouTube for memberships as well as on Patreon. So if you like Patreon, head over to patreon.com/gvgaming, see our options there. If you'd rather stay right here on YouTube, hit that button right over there and you'll be able to join one of our many membership tiers and help us keep making videos like this. But whether you support us or you're just here to watch or subscribe or like or comment or tell me I'm wrong, we appreciate you all the same. And I will see you next time. Bye.